It's the Brad and John Show.
It's the Brad and John Show. Today featuring a special guest who just came into the studio after the last segment. As a matter of fact, this is May 2nd, 2025. John and I had a little bit of disagreement in the last segment. We have a special guest. Do you mind if I bring this guy and put him on the air real quick, John?
Oh, sure.
Okay, here's our special guest.
I want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along?
That's our special guest.
We just had the anniversary of the LA riots, Brad. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, unfortunately,
April
I am.
29th.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. And do you know also the local history? You know what April 30th was the anniversary of? Just Wednesday?
I have no idea.
The opening of the 1904 World's Fair.
No way, really, Brad. And what did you get there? What did your parents get you at the fair?
What?
Did they get you a waffle cone? I heard some made-up story how that was invented here.
What did I get at the fair? That's what you should be asking. April 30th, 2004, or excuse me, 1904.
What esteemed university, Brad, had the track and field event on their campus?
Washington University, Francis Field.
You don't say. Yeah,
yes.
Francis Field, you're right, Brad.
Well, no, that was the Olympics, though. See, this is interesting because in 1904, not only did we have the World's Fair, we had the Olympics, and it was the first time ever the Olympics were held in the United States. We've had them several times since, in the summer and the winter. Matter of fact, they're coming back to Los Angeles. They've been in Atlanta. They've been in other places.
Yeah, remember in '96 when you drove a van down there and you had a little present for the people of Atlanta, Brad, and you got them to blame it on Richard Jewell? Remember that, Brad?
That wasn't me. That was that poor security guard they blamed, who ultimately cleared his name. But see, there's another example of how biased the news industry was, because they pretty much convicted him in the public media because of the fact that they said he's the guy that planted the bomb, and it turned out he didn't. And if you follow his story, it's very sad. I think he even committed suicide. When he was vindicated.
I didn't know that, Brad. We went to a deep place. Yeah, we've talked a lot about violent things like bombs. Yesterday, you were talking about Katy Kruze's bazookas. That was uplifting. Pardon the expression, but that was uplifting.
And by the way, Katy Kruze works at KBDZ, a wonderful station, which for a long time, if you lived in the Westplex, you couldn't hear the station because their transmitter is way down south of St. Genevieve. But now they have another frequency. They are on 101.7. And once again, Brad talks the talk and walks the walk. I'm here to promote local radio. Okay.
And their guy, Kevin Russell, as we know, has 3 personalities, Brad.
And he lives in Sydney, Australia.
I got you off track. What were you about to talk about, Brad?
Okay. Once again, the hypocrisy of Republicans. John, who is Sam Graves?
Sam Graves is a congressman from Missouri's 6th district. I believe he was first I don't believe. Why am I acting humble? He was first elected in the year 2000. So he's from the northwest part of the state, Brad. What's he in the news for?
Okay, John, and he is which political party?
He is a Republican.
And aren't Republicans...
And let me guess, you're mad because he wants more spending for military or something like that?
No. What do Republicans normally say? We have too much government control. We have too many government taxes. The government does too much in our personal...
That's probably true, Brad. But so what's the punchline? What did he do that offends you?
He has put together, as part of what he's trying to do to get money for the federal government, he is going to charge us for our cars on the federal level. He's going to put in a tax that not only do we have to pay personal property tax to the county we live in, and not only do we have to give license plates from the state, from the Department of Revenue, we will also have to register our vehicles with the federal government and pay a fee to the federal government for our cars and trucks. What a nice guy he is, a nice Republican who doesn't want more government intervention and doesn't want more tax revenue for the government. What the hell's wrong with this guy, John?
Yeah, now, Brad, because generally it's a good idea to fact check the things that you say. I just looked up and I see a story from Politico. You're right. House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chair Sam Graves released the details Tuesday of his committee's contribution to the larger GOP mega bill, which included a $20 annual fee indexed to inflation. Well, that's curious, Brad. And Graves says it's intended to lay the foundation for eventually doing away with the federal gasoline tax. For now, though, the fee, which would be levied on gas-powered passenger cars, would be additive. And then they show how Chip Roy was outraged by the proposal, et cetera. So I'm not caught up on this, Brad. This is the first I've heard of this. I have to tell you that I I didn't see this until you brought it up.
Okay, so let me tell you some other behind-the-scenes stuff. He lives up in northwest Missouri. That's the district he's in, right?
Yep.
But there's a rumor that he doesn't really live there, that he lives in Franklin County. Matter of fact, we understand he lives on the estate of the new Franklin County head commissioner, the president of the commission.
I see where you're going with this, Brad.
What's his name again? What's that guy's name again, John? What's?
Do you remember his name, Brad?
I do, but I want to hear it from your lips. What's his name?
Dave Schatz.
Dave Schatz, Mr. Gas Tax in Missouri. So supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've had my Washmo sources say they have cited Dave Schatz with this Sam Graves backslapping each other at Marquardt's Landing in downtown Washmo. And the conversation went something like this. Dave Schatz says, well, I put more gas tax on Missourians. And then he slaps Sam Graves on the back. And Sam says, well, that's nothing, Mr. Gas Tax Missouri. I'm going to put a vehicle tax on everybody in the entire country. And they're backslapping each other left and right. And pretty soon, some of the patrons got upset and say, guys, could you go outside and backslap each other outside on Front Street? So they did, and they had a backslapping contest, and they were bragging about, well, I'm going to make it to the point where if you drive on the right-hand side, if you're in the right-hand lane, you're going to have to pay another $20 every mile you drive because everybody knows you should be in the left-hand lane.
Yeah, that was a Adam Schnelting deal, remember, Brad?
Okay, yeah, Adam Schnelting, right. And the crazy thing about it was, we haven't brought that up in a while. He passed this, he tried to get a bill. I'm thinking to myself, okay, a lot of these bills that come up on the state level, and even like in municipalities, it's because somebody's butthurt about something that happened to them personally. And I say Adam Schnelting, and by the way, Adam, if you want to call me and discuss this or be on the air, be more than happy, 314-280-8880. I say his bill was, he was going to put in extra fines if you sat in the left lane, even if you were doing 100 miles an hour, if you didn't yield the left lane to Adam Schnelting, who was doing 120 miles an hour on the way down to Jefferson City, that he would give you another ticket. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I've seen signs in the Missouri Interstate that says, Missouri state law, stay right except to pass. Have you ever seen one of those signs, John?
I see them all the time, Brad.
So why would Adam Schnelting be trying to put another law? Okay, a little bit of information on this thing with Sam Graves. There's 3 tiers to his vehicle fee.
And where are you getting this from, Brad? Like, was this part of a Boomer Facebook post, or where did you see this?
I've done research on this, John. And
did you really put an effort to the show today?
Okay, let me tell you something, John. You know what caught my ear on this?
Was it public radio?
No, on this very radio station, Eric Erickson, who's on from noon to 3, did an entire segment on this, and he once again said pretty much the exact same I'm saying. He's like, why is a Republican doing this? Why is a Republican making another level of bureaucracy? Because that's what's going to be. This is going to be some division of the Department of Transportation where not only when you get your license plates, do you have to go to the state of Missouri, not only do you have to show insurance and your personal property tax and this and that and your real ID, but then you have to show that you've licensed your vehicle through the federal government. Here's the 3 tiers. The 3 tiers are, and once again, this is research I've done, John, $200 on all electric vehicles, $100 on hybrid vehicles, and $20 on all passenger vehicles. And this is what he wants to do, and this would be a yearly fee where essentially you would have to pay this fee. And as I understand what I've read, the states, like, for example, he would say that in order to renew your license plates, you would have to prove that you paid this fee to the federal government. It's like we need more crap at the DOR to the point where pretty soon you're going to have a wheelbarrow to roll in there with the paperwork you need to get your damn license plates renewed. You know what I'm saying, John?
I do know, yeah, and I'm reading through statements here by Graves of, he's the bill. Now, here's what Sam Graves said. Again, let's be fair here. The bill will also assess a $20 annual registration fee on all other passenger vehicles beginning in 2031. So, Brad, you'll be long gone by then, and I'll finally be able to do some interesting stuff with this radio station. This is a first step toward the House Republican surface transportation goal of repealing and replacing the broken gas tax and federal excise tax structure that has left the HTF bankrupt. So he's saying, again, we're going to put this in place so that we can get rid of the federal gasoline tax.
First off, how in the world can the federal gas tax, the HTF, the Highway Transportation Fund tax, be bankrupt when they get every single day they get millions of dollars from motorists paying that stupid? Because
I know, how can Illinois be bankrupt when people in Illinois pay taxes, Brad? How can government possibly go bankrupt?
Well, in Illinois, it's because of the pension fund, but that's a whole other story. Because of the fact that it's an unrealistic
way
right,
I take your word for it. I got you off track. I shouldn't have done that.
Right? No, you asked me a question. I gave you the answer.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
because
should know better than that.
It's because of the pension
fund.
Anyway,
that's what Graves says about it, Brad.
Right?
He says that this is laying the groundwork for getting rid of the tax.
Dude.
And I guess the idea is what Eric Burleson brought up, of course, the Southwest Missouri congressman, is he says what we shouldn't. He called the language, quote, problematic, and said, we're trying to get the message to leadership that there's got to be a better way to find the funds than to create a new national vehicle registration fee.
Thank you, Mr. Burleson. Once again, I see this is the David Wasinger thing, okay? And if Tracy Ellis were here right now, she would say, Brad, you're my hero. This is what you call, and I hate to use this word, this is the RINO stuff. The RINOs are these, and God, man, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but they are. And I agree with Tracy Ellis on this kind of stuff. You get these Republicans, I'm a Republican, I'm for business, I'm for less government intervention, less taxes. And what do? More government intervention and more taxes. It's like, what are they doing? It's like what's his name again? The guy in Franklin County, the guy that owns that construction company, the guy.
Dave Schatz.
Dave Schatz, the guy who was Mr. Republican. I'm Mr. Republican. I'm in the Franklin County Republican Committee, and we want to vet if you come in and you're not the kind of person we want, we're not going to let you put your name on the ballot. You have to be like me, where I'm not a hypocrite.
Yeah, Dave Schatz is not one of those people. And Dave Schatz would not be approved by the Franklin County crowd, so we're conflating things here. But I don't want to undermine your larger point, Brad.
The larger point is stop being damn hypocrites. And once again, the situation is what's that quote that I hear Mark Cox use all the time? It's a drop he uses. And I know you probably don't watch this show, but with Parks and Recreation, where the guy, he makes a comment, he says the government is nothing but sucking on the public teat or something like that. In other words,
wow, I like that.
Well,
go back to Katy Kruze.
The idea being is that, and see, the interesting thing about this is like the David Wasinger thing. Okay, can I give you a parallel? I'm going to give you two other names that I compare David Wasinger to.
Ooh, okay, let's do it.
Number one, Eric Greitens. Number two, Donald Trump. Because
okay. So you would compare Greitens to Trump, and I think there. To be fair, there's some people that haven't heard your analogy here. Go ahead.
Because
And Eric Greitens was the Democrat who became a Republican when it was fashionable, and won a multi-candidate primary to become governor, and then left soon thereafter. Right, Brad?
The point is that both Greitens and Trump were harassed by the system because they didn't play by the quote-unquote rules. And this is David Wasinger. He's never held an office before. He's never been elected to office.
That's true. That's true.
His first run out of the gate is he becomes lieutenant governor, supposedly the second most powerful position in the state of Missouri, behind the governor. Okay? So John's going to call me out on this again. So the people who played the game, they start out on the school board, and then the city council, and then they're the local committee person, and they're a rep, and then they're a senator, and then they're blah 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 blah. They played the stupid game of moving up through the ranks of politics, are like offended by, oh my God, Donald Trump's never ran for elected office.
You're right about that, Brad.
He's running for president. Oh my God, Eric Greitens.
They feel that they've done their time and quote played by the rules. Who is this guy jumping the line to get in front of me? I served as deputy committee man of the township for 8 years, and nobody told me I should run for lieutenant governor.
Right, exactly.
You're exactly right. That gets a lot of people really upset.
Because they have their little clique, they had the little way of doing things, and the thing about it is, I don't care. Whenever I hear a campaign ad, and I say, I'm going to Washington, I'm going to Jefferson City to shake things up, like hell you are. You're going to Jefferson City or Washington, D.C. to essentially do what Mr. Wonderful says. You know, one of Mr. Wonderful's great comments is,
What is that? And you mean from Shark Tank?
Yes, Kevin O'Leary.
Okay, yeah. What does he say?
He's going to feed his beak. That's what he...
Oh, yeah. Wet your beak a little bit.
Yeah, wet your beak, feed your beak, whatever. Because of the fact that that's exactly what they're going to D.C. or Jefferson City to do. They don't give a rip, because of the fact that there's some political consultant, maybe Tom Smith, one of your buddies, who says, okay, David, if you really want to be the lieutenant governor, first off, you have to have a yard sign in every single county in the state of Missouri, and then you have to, and a
4x8, not just a yard sign, but a 4x8, maybe a billboard.
And you have to hold your hand up and take a picture of the fact that your knuckles are raw from knocking on doors. Yes.
Oh, that's right. You got to knock those doors, Brad.
Right. You got to knock those doors.
The ring button,
and then, most importantly, here's a list of the things you have to say. I'm going to Jefferson City to shake things up. I'm going to blow up the status quo.
Brad, don't forget the ladders. You haven't taken a dig at Josh Hawley in 72 hours.
I'm not going to use my job as this next job to climb up the ladder, even though I've already, signed the petition that have my name included on the next election, which is higher than what I'm going for right now. See, that's the whole problem with government. It's a bunch of people, and I think what happens is, John, I think, I don't know if you know about this, but there's a thing that when you become, at least on the state level, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you become a representative or senator, you have to take a physical. Do you know about this?
No. And what do they do? Do they remove your testicles?
No, they don't do that.
Do they give you some of Mark McCluskey's TRT?
No.
And force you to take bathroom selfies when you're over the age of 60?
They say what they do is the doctor winks at the nurse, and he says to the patient, who is the new incoming state person, state rep or state senator, this building's really old, and we've got some very, very, very old, very virile mold cultures in this building, and I'm going to give you a shot that's going to keep you from getting the Missouri mold culture virus. And he winks at the nurse, and he gives him the shot, and the guy all of a sudden says, I think we need to have more taxes. I think we have more registration on vehicles.
I know they get some kind of disease there, Brad. I thought you were going with a mesothelioma advertisement for Brown and Crouppen, but I'm glad to see you brought it back.
No, I'm not, John. Okay. For those of you listening, John and I really do get along, except when we don't, but that's another whole nother story. But see, and you know what, John, I'm going to have a great day today. You know why?
Why is that, Brad?
Because for once, I brought up something. Hey, John, do you know about this? And then John's response.
I didn't know it. I wasn't able to say, yeah, Brad, it's been on my website every day for the last 10 days. Thanks for checking it out.
That's exactly the way it normally goes. That's where it goes like 99 times out of 100. I go like, okay, John, I'm sorry, I didn't know.